The observatory on the outskirts of the Nevada desert buzzed with subdued energy. Dr. Alina Cross squinted at the fluctuating data stream on her terminal, her coffee long gone cold. The signal had been coming for months, a faint, rhythmic pattern that defied any known cosmic phenomenon. Most of her peers dismissed it as random noise, the byproduct of a collapsing star or the gravitational pull of a black hole. But Alina's instincts told her otherwise. "This isn't random," she muttered to herself, running the signal through her self-designed decryption algorithm for the 1,000th time. The program blinked to life, processing, halting, then processing again. Then, for the first time in months, it stopped and displayed a coherent pattern. Her breath caught. The screen now displayed a 3D model of an intricate interlocking machine. Spinning gears of light and shadow filled her office as the projection materialized, casting strange reflections on the walls. The design was impossibly complex but eerily familiar. She reached for her comlink. "Director Hayes, you need to see this," she said, her voice tight with urgency. Within hours, her discovery had escalated to the highest levels of global scientific and political organizations. The signal, it seemed, wasn't just a transmission. Embedded within it was a blueprint, one that defied Earth's technological capabilities, yet felt almost achievable, as if designed with humanity in mind. This could be a trap, General Patel growled during the hastily convened international summit. His holographic presence loomed over the room, his military uniform pristine even in projection. Or it could be an invitation, countered Dr. Matsuda, an astrophysicist representing Japan's Space Exploration Agency. "An invitation to what?" another voice asked, skeptical and sharp. Alina leaned forward, her palms pressed against the sleek conference table. "This isn't just technology. It's a challenge. Whoever sent this knows we can build it, or at least they think we can. The signal isn't random. It's waiting for a response." The room fell silent. The enormity of her words hung heavy in the air. After weeks of debate and mounting public pressure, fueled by a media frenzy over the signal from the stars, a consensus was reached. The nations of Earth would pool their resources to construct the device. Dubbed the key to eternity by the press, its design became the focus of a global engineering effort unlike any in human history. But unity was short-lived. Even as construction began in the orbiting Armstrong shipyards, factions within the Earth Federation grew restless. Some feared that activating the device might summon a hostile alien force. Others, desperate for dominance, sought to monopolize its technology. Alina watched the chaos unfold from her observation post aboard the station. Tensions simmered below the surface, threatening to derail everything, but she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The signal's rhythm had changed in recent days, growing more insistent. "It's not just a blueprint," she whispered to herself, staring at the stars beyond the observation window. "It's a countdown." And the universe was waiting to see if humanity would answer. The key to eternity stood half-completed in the orbital Armstrong shipyards, its skeletal frame shimmering under the glow of Earth and the distant sun. Thousands of workers and engineers bustled inside and out, coordinating the massive effort that had brought together nations, rival corporations, and ideologies in an uneasy truce. Despite progress, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Alina Cross hovered near the central console of the command deck, reviewing the latest construction updates. The device's intricate design had defied expectations at every turn. New alloys, experimental quantum processors, and energy sources that bordered on theoretical were being synthesized daily to keep up with its demands. "What are we even building?" muttered Carter, a young engineer from NASA, as he adjusted the holographic blueprint on his monitor. "Every time we think we've got it figured out, another layer unfolds." "It's like it's teaching us," Alina said absently, eyes fixed on the scrolling data. "The blueprint isn't static, it's adaptive. Whoever sent it wanted us to learn as we built. Or fail, Carter replied darkly. Elena didn't respond. In truth, the deeper they delved into the construction, the more unsettling the project became. Sections of the device seemed oddly familiar, mimicking architectural and engineering styles found in ancient human civilizations, yet refined and impossibly advanced. The parallels were too precise to be coincidence. Later that evening, she found herself alone in the observation dome, the vastness of space stretching out before her. The key's metallic framework gleamed in the distance, illuminated by the station's spotlights. She replayed the historical data on her personal terminal, cross-referencing patterns from the device's design with artifacts from Earth's past. The results froze her blood. Sections of the key mirrored blueprints from ancient Mesopotamian temples, Mayan glyphs, and even Da Vinci's sketches of impossible machines. All cultures, all eras, yet undeniably connected. "This can't be right," she murmured. But the data didn't lie. It wasn't humanity adapting alien technology. It was alien technology that seemed to have adapted to humanity. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sharp beep on her terminal. A message from Director Hayes appeared on the screen, his words terse and urgent. "We have a problem. Get to the command deck now." Elena rushed through the corridors, arriving to find the room abuzz with alarm. General Patel stood by the main console, his expression grim. "We intercepted unauthorized transmissions," he said without preamble. "Someone's leaking schematics of the key." "Leaking them to who?" Elena demanded, her heart pounding. "That's the problem," Patel replied, gesturing to the screen. "The transmission isn't aimed at Earth. It's aimed out there." On the display, a trajectory map showed the schematics being broadcast to an unknown location deep in the galaxy. "Sabotage?" asked Dr. Matsuda. "Or someone trying to draw attention," Patel said. "Either way, we just painted a target on ourselves." As the room erupted into chaos, Elena felt the weight of her earlier realization pressing down on her. The key wasn't just a test or a challenge. It was a beacon, and now the galaxy was watching. The key to eternity hummed with life as its final components were fused into place. Earth's greatest minds had defied expectations, completing the impossible device under the watchful eyes of skeptical nations and wary military leaders. The orbital construction yard, once a hub of frantic activity, now hung eerily silent as all attention turned to the moment of activation. Elena Cross stood at the heart of the control deck, her nerves coiled like springs. Around her, a team of engineers, scientists, and soldiers waited with a mix of awe and unease. The key's massive rings began to rotate, each layer inscribed with enigmatic patterns that glowed faintly in the vacuum of space. "Energy levels stable," called Carter from the console, his voice tight. "Initiating phase alignment." Elena took a deep breath. "Proceed." A low rumble vibrated through the station as the key's mechanisms came alive. The glow intensified, shifting through colors that defied human description. Then, with a soundless burst of light, a rippling sphere appeared in the device's center, a portal, pulsating and immense. Gasps filled the command deck. The portal's surface shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting not the station or the stars, but a strange alien vista. A distant system illuminated by twin suns, with a massive ancient structure looming in the background. "What are we looking at?" Director Hayes demanded, stepping closer to the observation window. "Scanning now," Carter replied, his hands flying across the console. "The structure matches fragments from the key's data. It's broadcasting a signal, similar to the one we received, but far stronger." Elena stared at the projection, her heart racing. "It's the source. The key just opened a doorway to the place the signal originated." General Patel stepped forward, his expression hard. "We need to send a team through, secure the site, assess the threat." Within hours, a crew was assembled, scientists, engineers, and soldiers, all handpicked for their expertise and courage. Alina, unable to resist the pull of the unknown, insisted on joining them despite the risks. As the shuttle approached the portal, its sleek frame dwarfed by the glowing rings of the key, the enormity of the moment settled over the team. For the first time in human history, they would step beyond the bounds of Earth's influence into the galaxy's unknown depths. The shuttle passed through the portal with a jeering flash of light. The transition felt like being squeezed through the eye of a needle, and when it was over, the team found themselves orbiting the alien structure glimpsed earlier. The Eternal Beacon. It was colossal, its surface marked with flowing, bioluminescent patterns that pulsed rhythmically. Automated defense drones hovered around it, their sharp angles and glowing eyes radiating menace. "Hostile activity detected," shouted one of the soldiers. "They're locking on." Before the team could react, beams of energy lanced toward them. The shuttle's pilot threw the craft into evasive maneuvers, narrowly avoiding destruction. "We're not welcome here," Pato growled. "Take us closer, but be ready to pull out at a moment's notice." As they closed in, Elena spotted an opening in the structure, an entrance. Despite the chaos, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were meant to find it. "This is it," she whispered, gripping the edge of her seat as the shuttle dodged another volley of fire. The Eternal Beacon wasn't just waiting for humanity, it was testing them. And failure wasn't an option. The shuttle skidded through the alien atmosphere, its shields crackling under the relentless assault of automated defenses. Inside, tension was palpable as alarms blared and sparks flew from overloaded consoles. "Evasive maneuvers won't last forever," shouted Lieutenant Marcus Hale, the shuttle's tactical officer. His hand hovered over the weapons console, but the Eternal Beacon's drones seemed impervious to every attempt to fight back. Alina Cross clutched her harness, her gaze fixed on the approaching structure. The alien beacon's surface shimmered with a hypnotic rhythm, as if alive. Amidst the chaos, she spotted an opening, a vast circular aperture that seemed to pulse in time with the drone's attacks. "There," she shouted, pointing. "Head for that opening." "You've got to be kidding," the pilot replied, wrestling with the controls. "That's suicide." "It's the only way," Elena insisted. Patel's commanding voice cut through the noise. "Do it, now." With a sharp turn, the shuttle dove toward the opening, its shields flaring as the drones intensified their assault. At the last moment, the beam stopped, and the craft slipped through the aperture into a vast, cavernous interior. The team stared in awe. They were inside the Eternal Beacon. The chamber was massive, its walls inscribed with glowing symbols that seemed to pulse with energy. A faint hum filled the air, resonating in their bones. The drones had stopped their pursuit, as if the ship's entry had been anticipated. "It's welcoming us," Elena said, her voice barely a whisper. "Welcoming or trapping," Patel muttered. "Stay alert." The shuttle landed on a smooth metallic platform that extended into the void. As the team disembarked, their boots echoed in the vast emptiness. Ahead of them stood an archway, its surface rippling like the portal they'd come through. Beyond it lay an impenetrable darkness. "I don't like this," Hale muttered, his weapon drawn. "No one does," Elena replied, stepping toward the archway. As she approached, the symbols on its surface flared brighter, and a voice, not heard, but felt, resonated in their minds. "To claim your destiny, you must prove your worth." The words sent a chill down their spines. "What is this? Some kind of test?" Carter asked, his voice trembling. "It's always been a test," Elena said, her resolve hardening. "The signal, the key, the drones, it's all been leading to this." The archway pulsed again, and the darkness beyond it shifted, revealing a maze-like corridor. Without hesitation, Elena stepped through, followed closely by Patel, Hale, and the rest of the team. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation. The walls shimmered with faint light, casting eerie shadows. The corridor twisted and branched, each turn presenting new challenges, walls that shifted, traps that activated without warning, and puzzles that required both intellect and teamwork to solve. The team pressed on, their progress slow but steady. Each success seemed to strengthen the bond between them, but the stakes grew higher with every step. The traps became deadlier, the puzzles more complex. At one particularly treacherous junction, they encountered a massive chasm, its depths obscured by a swirling mist. A single, narrow bridge extended across it, and at its center stood a strange device, a pedestal holding a glowing orb. "What now?" Hale asked, his weapon scanning the area. Elena approached the pedestal cautiously. The orb's glow intensified as she drew near, and once again the voice resonated in her mind. "Only those who trust in unity shall cross unbroken." She turned to the team, her expression solemn. "We can't solve this alone. Everyone has to contribute, or we fail." One by one, they stepped onto the bridge, their movements slow and deliberate. As they reached the center, the orb flared and the mist below began to rise, revealing the next segment of the path. "We're being judged," Paddle said grimly, "and I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet." The team pressed onward, each trial pushing them to their limits. But as they advanced deeper into the beacon, a nagging question lingered in Elena's mind. Who, or what, was testing them, and what would happen if they succeeded? The team had traversed countless obstacles within the eternal beacon, dodging traps, solving intricate puzzles, and narrowly escaping the growing dangers that seemed to anticipate their every move. Yet the further they ventured into the heart of the alien structure, the more Elena Cross felt the weight of an unseen presence pressing upon them, watching, waiting. It was as if the beacon itself had become aware of their every thought, every hesitation. Their latest challenge had brought them to a vast chamber, the walls lined with towering pillars of smooth, metallic material that hummed with a low, resonant frequency. In the center of the room stood a massive pedestal, upon which rested a crystalline object, pulsating with an eerie, otherworldly glow. The air here felt thick, charged with an energy that made the hairs on the back of Elena's neck stand up. "This feels like the endgame," Hale muttered, eyeing the pedestal with suspicion. "Maybe it is," Paddle replied, his voice grim, "or maybe it's the beginning." Elena studied the crystal, her mind racing. She had read the ancient texts, deciphered the prophecies hidden in Earth's oldest civilizations, all pointing to this moment. But nothing had prepared her for the weight of it, the significance of what was about to unfold. The voice, a presence that had been silently guiding them throughout the trials, spoke again, its tone resonating deep within their minds. "You have come far, but your journey is not yet complete. To claim what is yours, you must first face the truth. Only then can you unlock the final door." The words echoed in Elena's mind, reverberating with the force of something ancient and unknowable. She turned to the team, her expression unwavering despite the growing sense of dread. "We need to approach the crystal together," Elena said. "This is it. This is what we've been building toward." With careful steps, the team moved toward the pedestal, each one of them sensing the immense power contained within the crystal. As they neared it, the air around them crackled with energy, and the symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, their meaning now unmistakable. This was a test of unity, of trust. Everything that had been leading them here had prepared them for this one moment. Without speaking, Elena extended her hand toward the crystal. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, the entire chamber erupted in light. The team was engulfed by a blinding, searing energy, and for a split second, time seemed to stretch out of existence. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the light faded. When Elena opened her eyes, she found herself standing alone in a dark void. The others were gone, replaced by a towering figure, cloaked in shadows, its presence as overwhelming as the galaxy itself. It was neither human nor alien, yet undeniably ancient. "You have come to claim your destiny," the figure intoned, its voice like 1,000 whispers, each one filled with unimaginable knowledge. Alina took a step back, fear and wonder battling within her. "What are you?" "I am the echo of the past," the figure replied, "the guardian of the key's true purpose. You have proven yourselves worthy, but now you must decide. Will you continue the journey alone, or will you accept the burden of the universe?" Alina swallowed hard, her mind racing. The echo's words carried an unimaginable weight. This wasn't just about Earth or the galaxy, it was about the entire fabric of existence itself. "I don't understand," she whispered. The figure's eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed with an intense, piercing light. The key was never meant to be a weapon, nor a doorway to conquest. It is the catalyst for change, the bridge between what was and what is to come. But its power is fragile. One wrong choice, one misstep, and the very fabric of reality will unravel. Alina's heart pounded in her chest. The choice before her was clear, and yet the burden was unbearable. "You have the power to shape the future," the echo continued. "But with that power comes the responsibility to protect all life, all creation. Will you accept the key, or will you abandon it to the void?" For the first time, Alina realized that the trials had not been about strength or intellect. They had been about something far greater. They had been a test of character, of heart. And as the figure loomed before her, Alina knew that this decision would alter everything. Alina's heart pounded as the figure, the echo of the past, loomed before her. It seemed to fill the entire void, its presence suffocating yet somehow calm. The weight of its words crushed down on her like a collapsing star. The fate of the universe was in her hands. "Will you accept the key?" the echo asked again, its voice a chorus of ancient whispers, reverberating in Alina's very soul. She could feel the pulse of the key still in her hand, a steady, rhythmic beat that seemed to resonate with her own heartbeat. The power of the universe hummed through it, offering her unimaginable control, but at a cost. The decision before her was too vast for any one mind to comprehend, yet it was hers to make. The darkness around her seemed to deepen as the weight of the universe pressed in. She thought of Earth, the people she loved, the soldiers who had stood beside her through this impossible journey. She thought of the rest of the galaxy, the billions of lives that depended on the choices they made. Would she risk everything for power, or was there another path forward? One that didn't require the destruction of all she knew? "You have seen the power of the key," the echo continued, its form shifting, becoming a blur of shadows, "and you have felt its potential. But power is fragile. To wield it is to become a part of it. To embrace it fully is to give up all that you were. Your humanity, your soul, will be consumed by it." A cold shiver ran through Alina. The truth was undeniable. The key's power was not just a tool, it was a living force, capable of bending reality, reshaping the very fabric of existence. Yet in wielding such power, it demanded a sacrifice, one that could never be undone. "Why me?" Alina whispered, her voice hoarse with emotion. "Why choose me for this? I'm just one person, one human in a galaxy of millions." The echo's form shifted again, this time becoming a silhouette of a human figure. A woman no older than Alina herself, with eyes filled with the same sense of burden, the same weight. "You are not chosen for your strength," the echo said, now speaking in the voice of the woman before her. "You are chosen because you are willing to choose others first. The power of the key can corrupt, but it can also heal. It can destroy, but it can also create. The question is not whether you can bear the weight of it. The question is whether you can bear the consequences of the choice." Alina's mind raced. She thought of her team, of the sacrifices they had made to get here, and of the countless lives that hung in the balance. The key was not just a weapon, it was a means of preserving the fragile balance of the galaxy. It was a gift, but it was also a curse. "Are you ready?" the echo's voice reverberated, pulling her from her thoughts. To bear the burden of the key is to bear the weight of every life in the galaxy. Your choices will shape the future, but you must ask yourself, will it be the future you desire? Will it be the future you can live with? Alina stood frozen, caught in the whirlwind of uncertainty. The choice was clear, but the path was not. To accept the key would mean to embrace a future where everything she had known would be changed forever. To reject it would mean relinquishing the opportunity to save the galaxy from forces that sought to tear it apart. With a final deep breath, Alina stepped forward, placing her hand back on the crystal. The key pulsed in her grasp, its energy swirling around her like an unstoppable storm. She closed her eyes, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision. "Yes," she whispered, "I will accept the key." The moment she spoke, the void around her erupted in light. The figure of the echo dissipated and the chamber transformed. The walls melted away, revealing a vast, swirling cosmos, each star and planet now a part of Alina's vision. The key's power coursed through her, flooding her senses, reshaping her understanding of the universe. As the light settled, Alina found herself back in the chamber, the key now embedded in the pedestal before her. The trials were over, the decision had been made, but the real test was only beginning. The fate of the galaxy rested on her shoulders, and the weight of the key would never let her forget it. Alina stood in the heart of the eternal beacon, her body trembling with the aftershocks of the immense power now coursing through her. The key had been accepted, and with it her connection to the fabric of the universe itself had been forged. The cosmos, once distant and unknowable, now felt like a living entity that she could touch, reshape, and command. But with this power came a profound silence, a stillness that pressed in on her mind like the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. She had accepted the responsibility of the key, but she hadn't fully understood the price. The team was still there, standing in a half circle around her, their faces a mixture of awe and fear. They had witnessed the transformation, the light, the power, the overwhelming sense of change. But Alina could see it in their eyes. They didn't know if she was still the same person who had led them through this journey. The uncertainty hung thick in the air. "Is it done?" Hale's voice broke through the silence, his tone hesitant, as though he feared the answer. Alina didn't respond immediately. She was still coming to terms with the weight of what had happened, with the flood of knowledge and responsibility now embedded deep within her. The future was no longer an uncertain path. It was a set of intertwined possibilities, each one bearing consequences she could neither foresee nor escape. "Yes," she finally said, her voice low. "It's done, but this isn't over." Patel, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward. "What now? What happens next?" The question hung in the air, almost too simple to answer. Alina felt a deep, unshakable truth settle within her. The key had unlocked something much larger than the galaxy. It had set into motion a chain of events that would affect every being in existence. And somewhere in the dark recesses of the universe, forces were already shifting in response. "I can feel it," Alina said, her voice barely above a whisper. "There are ripples, a disturbance in the flow of time, of space. The key has triggered something that has been lying dormant for eons." Hale looked uneasy. "What kind of disturbance?" She hesitated, trying to piece together the overwhelming sensations swirling through her mind. "I don't know, but the power of the key is drawing attention. There are entities out there, beings older than anything we can comprehend, who won't be pleased with what I've done." The truth hit her like a wave crashing against the shore. She had just set in motion a cataclysm. The key, though meant to protect and preserve, was now a beacon, calling out to those who sought to control it, those who would destroy to claim it. "We need to prepare," Alina said, her voice steadying as she regained her composure. "We have no time to waste. The galaxy is in danger, and I don't know how much time we have before." Her words were interrupted by a sudden deafening hum. The entire chamber vibrated with the force of it, sending shivers down Alina's spine. The walls of the eternal beacon began to crack and tremble as if they were being pulled apart by an unseen force. The key, the crystal that had once been dormant, was now pulsing with a violent energy. "It's starting," Elena said urgently. "They're coming." Before anyone could react, the chamber was flooded with a blinding light, and the air was filled with a high-pitched whine that seemed to pierce through the very fabric of reality. In the blink of an eye, the team found themselves standing outside the beacon, on the surface of a distant planet, the stars stretching endlessly overhead. Elena's heart raced. They had been pulled from the beacon itself, as if it had transported them across vast distances of space. But the landscape around them was wrong, alien. The skies were torn with streaks of red lightning, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. "The fabric of space is unraveling," Elena said, her voice heavy with dread. "The balance is collapsing. We've triggered something that's beyond our understanding. If we don't stop it—" Before she could finish, the ground shook violently, and a massive, shadowed form appeared on the horizon, its size so vast that it seemed to blot out the stars. The team instinctively drew their weapons, their breath quickening. This was only the beginning. The consequences of her choice were unfold. The massive shadow looming on the horizon grew larger with each passing second. The ground beneath Elena's feet quaked as the sky seemed to warp, rippling with strange alien energies. The planet, once a serene outpost in the galaxy, now felt like the edge of a collapsing reality, teetering on the brink of annihilation. "This is it, isn't it?" Hale's voice broke through the thick silence, his eyes fixed on the monstrous figure approaching. "Whatever we've unleashed is coming for us." Elena nodded, her gaze locked on the figure in the distance. She could feel it, the overwhelming presence of something beyond their comprehension. The key had not only drawn attention, it had disrupted the delicate balance of the universe itself, awakening an ancient force that had slumbered for millennia. "They've come," Elena said softly, "not to claim the key, but to destroy it, to end everything we've ever known." The distant figure moved closer, its form now becoming clearer, a gargantuan being, its body a mass of shifting darkness, an entity that defied all known laws of nature. It was not a ship, nor a creature, it was something far more terrifying. A singular force of destruction, older than the stars themselves, and it was coming for them. Patel stepped forward, his voice steady despite the palpable fear. "We faced impossible odds before. We can do this. We just need a plan." But Elena could feel the hopelessness creeping in. There was no plan, no strategy that could counter the vast power of the entity approaching them. The key had been meant to protect, to preserve, but it had inadvertently awakened something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. "We don't have time," Elena said, her voice tight with urgency. "It's here. We need to act now." The key, still pulsing with energy in her hand, had become the focal point of the chaos. As the dark entity advanced, its influence seemed to drain the life from everything it touched. The ground cracked open in places, and strange, twisted creatures began to emerge from the depths, drawn to the disturbance the key had caused. The team fought back, but their weapons were powerless against the growing darkness. "We can't fight them off," Hale shouted, his rifle useless against the advancing swarm. "We need to shut down the key." Elena hesitated. If she destroyed the key, would it undo the damage? Or would it plunge them into an even greater disaster? She could feel the weight of her decision, the pull of destiny itself urging her forward. The dark entity's presence was now upon them. Its form towered above them, filling the sky. It reached out, tendrils of shadow swirling toward Elena, and she could feel its mind, the crushing weight of its intent, its desire to consume everything. But Elena wasn't alone. The team stood by her side, ready to fight until their last breath. "We can't just give up," Hale said, as though reading her thoughts. "Whatever happens, we fight. Together." Elena nodded. She had made her choice. The key had to be the answer, not the cause of their downfall. If she could channel its power properly, if she could focus it, maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide. She closed her eyes, feeling the key's power flood her once more, connecting her to the universe. The presence of the entity loomed over her like a storm, but she stood firm, drawing every ounce of energy she could muster. "Hold on," Elena shouted to her team. "This is our only chance." With a focused will, she sent a wave of energy toward the entity. The key's power exploded outward, a burst of light so intense that it temporarily blinded them all. The dark tendrils recoiled, as if the key itself was fighting back against the force of destruction. But it wasn't enough. The entity was too powerful. It absorbed the energy, growing larger, more formidable. Elena felt her strength draining, the key's power pushing her to the brink of exhaustion. But she couldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. With a final, desperate cry, Elena pushed every ounce of her energy into the key. The crystal flared brighter than it ever had before, and the light grew so intense that the entire planet seemed to be consumed by it. The dark entity let out a terrible roar, its form breaking apart as the energy of the key shattered the very fabric of reality itself. The ground trembled, and the skies split open in a flash of blinding white. Elena collapsed, the key falling from her hand. The last thing she saw before darkness consumed her was the entity dissolving into nothingness, its power fading into the void. When Elena awoke, she was lying on the surface of the planet, the stars now peaceful overhead. The battle was over. The key had done what it was meant to do, restore balance. But the cost had been high. Elena knew that they had changed the course of history. The universe was safe, but it would never be the same again. And she had fulfilled her destiny. The key had not only saved them, it had called her to become something more than human. Something that would live on in the fabric of the universe itself, an echo of all that had come before and all that would follow. The eternal calling had been answered.